Hi guys, I'm Shmi and welcome to the next part of our tour around Scotland, celebrating the launch of the new Esso Synergy fuels. So today we're back where we ended last night, outside the Donan Castle, which is the location of MI6 in the James Bond movie, The World Is Not Enough. Of course, this trip is themed around James Bond. 007 lived here, and that's why we're driving in the gorgeous Aston Martin V12 Vantage S, this Madagascar orange car. We've had a couple of days driving it now, and it sounds phenomenal, looks amazing, and this is a beautiful spec on the car as well. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the car, a bit of sort of a review, as you will, as we go. This is a very, very good car for the kind of trip we're driving, and I'll explain a little bit more about why that is. As well as that, we're going to be visiting 2 more locations that have featured in James Bond movies to date. A scene where a boat chase was filmed, and also one of the naval bases. So I'll tell you more about those as we get on the road, and we're on the way around today. But after visiting some amazing locations yesterday, from Skyfall and other places, I'm very, very much looking forward to today out on the roads, driving the V12 Vantage S with that 6-litre V12 making some spectacular sounds. And it's just a fantastic car, just the right amount of performance, brilliant steering, and great driving experience for this kind of road. So without any further ado, let's get on the road and head on our way. Let's talk V12 Vantage S then. So the Vantage itself is actually now over 10 years old when the first of this sort of current shape V8 Vantage came out. Then there was the 4.7 facelift, we had the coupe and roadsters of all of the models, the V8 Vantage S, and in 2009 the V12 Vantage came out, which was the manual gearbox limited edition car, and it took the 6-litre V12 from the DB9 DBS, so the most powerful engine Aston Martin produced, and they put that in the smallest car they produced, the Vantage. So of course that's quite a winning formula if you like your exciting sports cars, especially ones that have a pretty good soundtrack to them. This car came out a little bit more recently, of course. The V12 Vantage S, it has the engine slightly revised and reworked from the Vanquish, so it's up to 565 brake horsepower, 573 PS, so it's a little bit more powerful, and of course it has a slightly more aggressive design to it as well, but still maintains some of the traits that were introduced on the V12 Vantage, like the quad carbon fibre vents on the front bonnet, and just more aggressive design to the rear diffuser. But this car has a new grille shape for increased airflow through the front, and just slightly more sporty looks, and especially in this colour, it looks fantastic. So one of the things that's different to the Vanquish, of course, is the gearbox. This car has the 7-speed semi-automated sport shift gearbox. Now this has come on a long way since the first V8 Vantages, but it's still effectively a manual gearbox with an automated controlled clutch, so it's nothing like a double clutch gearbox. And if you're driving it, let's say like right now, in an automated mode, fully automatic, it can get a little bit lurchy. You know, you have to still balance and fluctuate the throttle pedal to match the shifts, and if you don't know they're coming, that's a little bit difficult. So, you know, if you sort of put your foot down to downshift, well, it's not going to downshift because we've got a ton of torque, but there you get the sort of lurch on the upshift, which is a sort of funny feeling. Now, if you start using the paddles and drive it with the mentality of a manual car, that's where things get a little bit better, because then it sort of responds and relates to how you're trying to drive it. You know, you can sort of put in this sort of inputs and get that kind of engagement and feedback, and that's where it sort of is its own thing. It's certainly very rewarding when you're up towards the top end of the power band, nearer the red line, rather than when you're driving it around town, let's say. But what it doesn't have is like the lurching and juddering that some of the earlier sort of semi-auto gearboxes suffered quite horrendously from. Now, in normal mode like this, there is next to no sound coming from the exhaust, because the valves have been made a little bit quieter than the V12 Vantage was before for the S. So in normal mode it's a bit quieter. If I press this button in the centre here, we go into sport mode, it gets quite significantly louder. If I just take it down a gear or two there as well, you can hear there's a lot more exhaust noise. The valves stay open significantly more, probably more so than the V12 Vantage did. So if you're me, you pretty much always want that pressed. It just sort of tightens everything up a little bit as well, although the suspension is controlled via a separate button down here. From my experience, the suspension is already quite stiff. We're driving on Scottish Highland Roads, which are not necessarily always the best, kind of rough and not perfect. So if you know, this is firm enough, you wouldn't want to go another notch up. Save that for the track or the perfectly smooth roads of Europe. Not necessarily here. Steering though, that's where this car really seems to excel. The steering is very, very nice, very rewarding. Obviously there's no electronic steering or anything, so it's pure driver's car. It's what you want it to do. And I think the whole package really, for the kind of driving we're doing on this trip, really, really comes together very nicely. You know, this is a proper GT car with some fun to it as well. You know, you've got the front engine layout, rear wheel drive. I've had plenty of grip. The car has Pirelli P0 Corsas, which I was a little bit worried might be an issue, but the temperatures have been 9–10 degrees most of the route we've been driving, so it's held up absolutely fine, and we've had no traction issues at all. In fact, that's been quite impressive. The traction light, it won't even come on even if you accelerate quite dramatically. Just take it down to second gear, so you can just hear a little bit more of the noise coming through, and that is just glorious. Even that sort of small little burst there, the sound is just a wonderful, wonderful noise, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens now with Aston Martins, the new generation, when they'll presumably be running with Mercedes engines and different sort of setups. Will we still have a V12? How will they do with the V8s? We'll know a lot more in due course, of course. We have the DB11 probably coming out next, after the DB10, the car I shot a few weeks ago, the car that features Inspector, the new Bond movie that sort of demonstrated a couple of design hints of what Aston Martin might be doing. That was actually a really fun day shooting with that car, and Mark Higgins, who was throwing me around the test track at Millbrook. But yeah, the DB11, then there'll be a new Vantage. This isn't the last hurrah for the Vantage. There's the GT12, which is a limited edition, absolutely bonkers mental thing that just sounds like the true ultimate beast of a car. High sort of, lots of graphics and fancy design, and the most insane exhaust you've probably ever heard on any car. Not that this one's bad by any stretch of the imagination, but there's something special about it. You know, it's an Aston Martin, and it's an Aston Martin with a V12 that's incredibly fun to drive. It sounds insane, and there's something just really special about that. And driving it on this route with the James Bond theme, it just all fits so nicely. And the cheesy photos we've been taking, it's been a pretty good package, and I think probably one of the perfect cars for this kind of driving. You know, the power, there's not too much power, it's an amount of power you can enjoy using. The rev band is obviously huge, so you can keep it in gear quite a long time, because you can be in 6th gear at like 20 miles an hour and start accelerating. It would go all the way up to 205 in 7th. Not that we're going to be doing that anytime soon. So, you know, it just fits these purposes absolutely perfectly. We're at a checkpoint then, and this is a place called Crinan, and out there is the Atlantic Ocean. But what's special about this is where From Russia with Love's boat chase scene was filmed. A movie that came out 52 years ago. Parts of it were filmed out there, out in the loch, and parts of it were filmed at some of the other bits we saw on the other side. Well, it's quite cool to be here. It's absolutely beautiful seeing some of these places in Scotland. It's a stunning, stunning country. What a road trip, and that's what this is all about. Getting to see some of these like amazing, amazing locations. Beautiful bits of scenery and some brilliant driving roads as well. So, yeah, pretty good day, but we were just coming along to stop, take a quick look, get some photos, and then we'll hit the road back on towards the next destination. No shortage of interesting roads then as we continue to head through the Highlands. Just check out the navigation map here though, looking over at all the water that is just behind the trees over to our right there. Every now and then we get some pretty spectacular views out through the trees. It's quite a cool place to be driving around. This road is just bizarre, it's interesting, it's different, it's just not like anything else. Obviously you can't see very much of, is Her Majesty's Naval Base Clyde, which is where some of the shots from The Spy Who Loved Me were filmed. Obviously, being a naval base, we can't exactly film very much in there, but we're able to take a quick look. We can see a little bit more ourselves, I think, probably than the camera can. But that was our second checkpoint of the day, just coming via here, via the naval base, HMMB Clyde. And we're going to be heading on towards Glasgow now, so we haven't got too far to go today. We might need one more fill up on the way, but then we'll get into another one of Scotland's big cities, as well as Edinburgh, that we're visiting on this trip. After a long drive and a lot of traffic, we're now arriving in the centre of Glasgow. Keep left. Just a mile or two to go now. Then we'll be at our hotel for the night. It has been a long one. Following signs to the city centre. Well, we've made it to Glasgow. The traffic coming in was pretty horrendous, and now the car is parked in one of the world's smallest spaces ever. But fortunately, obviously, with the driver's door being on this side, it manages to open behind the pillar. So all is not totally lost. We'll be able to get out. This chap, however, with his left-hand drive 1 Series is going to have a little bit of a problem, and he might have to climb in through this side. But then he should have parked slightly over that way, and he wouldn't have that issue. That's his problem. But we've had a brilliant day. The roads have been absolutely spectacular, stunning scenery, beautiful locations. It's just such a beautiful country to drive around Scotland. I kind of feel a bit bad that I really haven't done this before, because the roads and the whole thing is just brilliant. It's wonderful. And this is such a brilliant car, like I said earlier, to be actually driving it in. The right amount of power, wonderful sound, lots of torque, so you're not having to change gears too often. And it just feels so classy being an Aston Martin, driving it around a route like this around Scotland. So another great day today. We're done now with the Highlands. Tomorrow we'll be heading over to McLaren Glasgow to check out some fairly cool stuff. I'm really quite excited about going, and you will find out why tomorrow morning. There's a lot to see. LTE, P1, a rather special 12C, and some more as well. So I'm looking forward to getting to McLaren Glasgow. And then we're going to head over back towards Edinburgh to visit Performance Portfolio, check out some of their stuff, which will make more sense again when you see what we're doing there tomorrow. And then it's just going to be a case of saying goodbye, farewell to the car as it gets shipped back down to Aston Martin in Gaydon, and we go and board flights out of Edinburgh. Sad end to the first trip, but what a celebration of the new Esso Synergy fuels this has been, the trip so far. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But I'm going to say goodnight now to the car, go upstairs, chill out a little bit, and we'll catch up with you again from the road tomorrow morning. So thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Cheers. Hi Nick, how are you?
Hello, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Hi, nice to see you.
Pretty excited about today. I can see the car over there. Let's go straight inside.